Hello everyone, this is Diane. I have been quietly working today to get these 3 journals completed, and they are now done. So I'm going to film them, and then when I get them listed, they will already be in the shop. Or when I get the video up, they will already be in the shop. So I do have to compile some little bundles to go with them because I'm going to include some more ephemera as part of my destashing. Because these are stash busters, so it won't be a huge bundle, but there will be a lot of cut off pieces from the scrapbook papers that I used and some ephemera pieces. So yeah, you won't know what you're getting because I don't have it ready for you yet. Let's just start going through the journals and I'll show you. Each one is different. They're very similar, but they all have a lot of differences. Each one has a chunky yarn that I just tied in a knot on the wire. They're all wire bound with 1-inch wires, and they are Rand McNally Elf books or Golden books. And I had fun decorating the covers, and I did that on a video, or at least I got to show all of them to you on a video. And I wrapped the raw edge of the the book cover with paper. So this one, being about 3 little kittens, has a lot of cat images, and there's a couple right there. This is actually from a vintage, like from the 1940s magazine. It was in a scrapbook that I got from my friend's garage. And this is from a vintage children's book, and it had, I think it was a Spanish alphabet. So whatever that word is, I guess it means water lily. And I put some vintage pom-pom on the bottom and vintage eyelet here. This was the end paper of the book. The images, the illustrations in this book were just so beautiful. So I do have some more of the cats cut out, and I will make sure you get them, but I did use some of them in the book. I used about 5 pages, I think, maybe a little more of the book in each journal, but not the whole story. So there is scrapbook paper, and I just collaged a whole bunch of stuff on it, just pulled stuff from my stash. And I pulled things from my box of ready-made ephemera that I've done on videos and whatnot. So there's just a couple pieces there. This was cut from a master board, so there are several throughout all 3 journals, I think, of that. I used some digitals and just some things that I've cut out of books. So this was part of a digital kit, a retro digital kit, and that is a cat that I cut out of a book, a cat statue figurine, and I thought it was perfect. I happened to have this on my desk, and I thought, oh, it's the 3 little kittens, so cats times 3. Here's a vintage flashcard, and I just put a little ephemera, digital ephemera piece, and I used a few fabric clusters. This one was one that was made for me by Virginia. And there's one of the little kittens, and I put a quote in, "Spoiled your mittens, you naughty kittens." This is an Avon calendar or appointment book page. There's a map scrapbooking page, and this was just some cardstock that I had colored with probably distress inks or distress oxides, and I had made a pocket out of it. This is a digital, and a tag that I cut with a Cricut, with my Big Shot, sorry. I have dies with that. And just some play money from a game. For this book, I put a strip of paper on the edge of each book page because the pages were more fragile. I only did it in this book. There's a note card. This is a page from another, even older book about the 3 little kittens. And I glued it to some cardstock and made a pocket. And this is from a vintage book, I believe. Or else somebody sent this to me. Maybe somebody sent that to me. Yes, someone who knows that I like pink. And I just put a tab on it and stuck it in here. This little mouse is adorable. I believe that it's on every page. of this book. So it's not here, so it might have been on the opposite page. There he is in the clothespin basket. This is a handmade paper from India. This was in my stash. That's a vintage Old Maid card. And another digital wallpaper. And I just collaged on here. There's space for writing. There's a bridge card, and there's a little kitty. There's the mouse with a mitten on its hand. This one is the page that I made a pinked pocket. I cut that out with pinking shears and just added a couple of stamped images. And this came from a little recipe book that you were supposed to write your recipes in. And this is a stamped piece. Oh, must be, it didn't turn out right on the back, and so I stamped it, flipped it over and stamped it, but it's still got that piece on the back. There's a tab. Oh, this came out of here. I just stapled that up there. A vintage greenhouse card, and I put a strip of wallpaper there and a digital handkerchief corner, a couple of tags. This was a paper that I got at a thrift store, Gymnastics. I got several different colors with different designs, so you'll see one gymnastics page in each book. It's a digital. This was just the negative from when I punched out or cut out a bunch of these little swivel tab things with my Big Shot. So I saved that piece and thought this is the perfect time to use it. And there is a digital card with a digital tab. This is the top of a calendar page with the little metal ring there and a digital heart. This is a digital I've had in my stash for a long time, and I cut out two of the little mice images. This is vintage wrapping paper with some kittens, so it was perfect for this. I love these kittens. And I just did some collaging on that page and added a stamped ticket that you can write on. There's another image of one of the kitties on a textured paper, and another one of Virginia's clusters. This triangle pocket made with a really old ledger that's written on was in my stash, and it's got, this is a digital rickrack piece. I cut that out, and then this is a little flower that I got from Nancy at Wishes and Weeds, and a little piece of German measuring tape there, the paper kind, and a tag that I made from a knitting book. So this might be Mama Kitty knitting the mittens. So this is from another golden book about the three little kittens, and it's one of the big ones. And I just made a pocket. Or an envelope. I had this in my stash. Perfect, right? So a couple digital images just on a piece of blue cardstock tucked in there. I put some of the pieces on a hinge to bind them in. This is a digital. Oh, well, this is the part that was supposed to be bound in the book, so just be careful with that page. It might tear out if you're not careful. This is from an embroidery book, this little image, and I put it on cardstock, and I stamped that. The future belongs to the curious. And this is just a cut-off piece of scrapbook. No, this is a digital paper. And this I just paper clipped on. I love those numbers. I think it came off a calendar, yeah. So you can just cut those numbers apart and use them wherever you want. Here's a time card. It's also on a hinge. Folded up and made a pocket out of it. And two digital pieces. This came out of a book, or yeah, it was just a little book like that with some quotes about spring or gardening. For this page, I had a wide piece of scrapbook paper and I folded it in half and just sandwiched the cardstock in between it so the pocket goes on both both sides. This is a tag I made a while ago, and this is an embossed piece that I had rubbed some gel, like a blue glittery gel, or shimmer or something, I don't know. I need to get it out. I have that and I have a gold one. I need to get them out and use them more. That's from a vintage magazine. That's an actual image cut from a magazine. And on this side of the pocket, we have this vintage paper from America's Moving, Serving the Heart of America. It's from a moving company, Wabash. It's vintage paper. This one is not vintage. It's just a little receipt for petty cash. And this is a Mrs. Coggs image that I've had in my stash for a while. Here is a Project Life card, or the book page. There's some lace on it, wallpaper border. And this one is one of the Tim Holtz stitch slots pockets, so it's just got little pieces in there, including this little die cut lady. And I think this is part of Tim Holtz ephemera. A couple little merchandise tags. A vintage bingo card, and I glued on it a journaling page. It's not vintage. More play money and a game score sheet for the game called Skunk. I'd never heard of it, but I found that at a flea market. I love this little kitten there, looking so sad because she's sad because she lost her mittens or because she got them dirty, I don't know. But I put this little quote in there: 3 little kittens lost their mittens, etc. And these are all things that I had stamped. Sorry if I haven't been in the frame correctly. These are all stamped images. This one's embossed, and I had these in my little stamped ephemera holder. This is from another little book, the P.S. I Love You book. They always have some fun, thoughtful or funny quotes that Mom wrote as a P.S. on her letters in this book. P.S. Remember the golden rule, and remember, it's your turn. I love you, Mom. This is a digital from KB and Friends, and I just clipped another digital on there. Oh, this one has two gymnastics pages, so that explains why I didn't have one for the third journal. It has a different image on it. That's just a list page, and this was from a stencil book. It's on heavy cardstock, and I just sprayed it or something and made pockets out of pages from that book. And then this was a tag I made more recently. This little girl is cut from a vintage catalog, and it's got a vintage dictionary and some wallpaper. And again, the back end paper is so cute, but it had like dirt ground in where the glue was between the paper and the cover. So I put a little baby rickrack there. And I showed you that. I did a collage on the back of each of the books. So I'll do the other ones a little more quickly, but there are differences. This one has the same yarns. It has some fabrics and vintage eyelet that is just beautiful. This pom-pom is not vintage. I added pages to the inside of this book and the other one. These are both golden books. That's a part of a masterboard, and then this was sent to me by someone. Oh, I guess it's just a card with this sewn onto it, so you can't really write on it, but it's just something pretty. And a digital price tag. This came out of a vintage Mother Goose little booklet that came from an insurance company. Mother Goose looks angry. But because this is the Ugly Duckling, I think I have one swan image in here, and I have some ducks. This was a cluster that I made. This is actually a Victorian piece. You can see the cracks in it. I've had it in my ephemera binder for a long time, and I decided I just want to get it out of there and glue it down somewhere. This is a purchased digital from a collection of, you know, ephemera pieces, but that one is antique. It's just a pocket with leftover paper, and that's another ephemera piece that came in a bundle of stuff. And then this I had in my stash. I think this is a digital piece with the ducks on it. 3 minus 2 equals 1, so there's 3 and 2 go under. It's cute. And I made it on a little pocket or a pouch with double-sided paper and put, oh dear, I made this a while ago. It's been glued in there all this time. Can she get it out? We're gonna try. If I tear it, I'll put something else in here. There. And I think they came in the same digital set, and I don't remember what it is. There's another note card. That's just a page from this book, and then I used a page from a Beatrix Potter book for this card and added another ephemera piece there. And on the back I have this little cutout duck. It was from a book that a teacher would use for bulletin board images or something. They could enlarge them and make copies or whatever. So I cut this one out and just paper clipped him in so you can do what you want with it. This is the handmade paper. This pocket was in my stash of things that I had made. And I stamped this vintage tag, so they were both in my stash. Wallpaper. This pennant tuck spot was in my stash. And this is a digital. She's missing her soldier daddy. There's the gymnastics paper, and there's a little duck I cut out of a book. Some more little ducks and another, well, this came from this golden book. Here's the swan image. It's the same kind of a card thing that I did with the other image that I showed you, but this one has a little piece of metal. This is a digital image, and it doesn't have a pocket, but it does have 2 writing spots in there. And another calendar piece and digital heart. Wrapping paper here with collage on the back. You can write on this page. It's light enough, and there's a little spot you can write on. We've got some geese here on some textured paper and a cluster. This pocket was in my stash, and this was in my stash. This was made with a master board, and then this is just a pocket about nighttime. There's a possum and her babies in there at night, and the pigs are sleeping in the barn. And this is just a cut-off scrapbook paper piece that you can write on. This is a pocket that I made by stitching all these little strips of paper together on cardstock. And this is a digital. I think that's KB and Friends, and a little pink index card. And then on here, I just took These are sewn together scraps of paper, so I just paper clipped it on to this page. So you can take that and make things with it, or just write on it. And another cut-off piece, and this was a digital. This is 3 pieces of dyed paper that I dyed, and I took my scraps and just glued them all to a piece of cardstock and then cut them into pieces. And I glued it to, I think it's back of a writing paper tablet. This is another instance of folding the piece of cardstock and sliding it up. It's got that same moving company paper and the petty cash, and then this digital. Looks like a sewing pattern. Project Life card, and they all have the same border, wallpaper border. This has a digital triangle postage stamp and an ephemera piece. I think that's an ephemera piece and not a digital, but I'm not sure. Bus ticket. A couple of merchandise tags. Another lady. And this came from a Tim Holtz ephemera pack. A skunk game. Some more ducks from a children's book, and another Beatrix Potter page with cats on it. Tom Kitten, and a guest check. Let's see, I'll get this out so I remember to put some guest checks in your bundles. This just has a collage of stamped images that were in my stamped ephemera holder. And another large KB and Friends journaling card, and that's another KB and Friends card. And this was in my ephemera. This is vintage red stamps, and I made a pocket out of it, or it could have been a tag. It's got a doily and this lady cut from a vintage magazine, and then some stamping. And then this piece is glued onto the back cover. One more, and that is Peter Pan and Wendy. This one has a thinner yarn. This was all one skein of yarn, but it was variegated, so it moves from pink to white, yellow, blue. They're all in one skein. It would make a beautiful baby blanket. It's so soft. But because it's thinner, I tied a bow in that one. And this has some really fun pieces on the front. It's got purple vintage pom-poms and rickrack, that's vintage, and then this fabric, that's vintage fabric with the polka dots on it. It was just fun. And then polka dotted paper, and then the back. This is actually a florist card, and I bought a set of these. I think there were 5 or 6 of them at an antique store, and I made copies of it. So that's just a copy of it. KB and Friends. There's Peter Pan. This is a pocket that I made with wallpaper. It was in my stash. And I tucked in a journal card and a flash card. It's kind of got a opalescent look to it. I don't know if you can see that. It's clipped on with a heart-shaped paper clip. This is a doily digital handkerchief corner. Here's a calendar piece. This just came from a children's vintage book, and this card that I made with a masterboard. just some pieces I collaged. And then this pocket has, or this book has a bigger pocket. So it's just got a bunch of tags and a library card in there. And this is the handmade paper. Wallpaper. This is from a Joker's Wild game. That's what the little play money came from. And this just has a pocket on it and a little stamped piece. These are all stamped pieces. KB and Friends card with a little puppy from a little book. Am I okay in the screen? Stationery with a little digital girl. This is Monopoly money. Vintage wrapping paper. This was a digital, and that's a digital, and that's a digital. I don't think this is. And I think this is another cluster that Virginia made. Yes, she did. And this was in my stash, and it flips up so you can write on it. And then there's a tag made with a master board. This envelope has a card that I made in it with a pocket. And it's got to go all the way in. There we go. This is from a vintage yearbook. This is a digital. I think that's from Tsunami Rose. I've had it for years. And I made this pocket. Uh-oh. Got another one glued in. There we go. This is a Dina Wakley stamp. Very colorful. And I just clipped this moth border. That's it. What's her name? Anna Griffin border. This came out of a book. Beautiful sweet peas and a little digital tag. And this was made again with those dyed paper strips that I had collaged down. Very colorful. I love those colors. And this is the page with the folded up paper. Some of the papers were wider than others, so you get different widths of pockets with those. And the moving paper and the petty cash, and then another Tsunami Rose digital. Project Life card. And this is a pocket made with a master board. It's got some more of those puppies on it from the book. Flash card. And then this little piece that was made with scraps. And a skunk score sheet. And these are all stamped images. Oh, they all do have gymnastics paper in them. And this was from a sewing book using trims, I think it was about. But you can tell it's from the 70s. And then we have Peter Pan's Island, Neverland, and a digital. This one just has my signature on the back cover because I didn't have a place for a pocket in the back of that one, but the other ones have it on a card, either on this page or back cover. So these will be in my shop when you see the video, and they will have their own listing just under the name of whatever the golden book is named. So whatever day I get to that, it'll be done. So I'm not sure if I'm actually going to do, let's see, where are they? They're right here. I had Martha's House, Sleeping Beauty, Barbie and Skipper, and Over in the Meadow. I don't know if I'm actually going to do these now. I think I don't want to start any more books till after Christmas at least, or maybe after the New Year. So if I don't make books out of these, I will sell them. They're taken apart, but the pages are still there. So we'll just see what I decide. But these are ready for you. And I hope that you will follow the link below to go to my shop. And I hope you will come back. I'll still have some videos between now and the New Year, but just maybe not beginning any more journal projects. But I hope that you'll stay with me as we enter 2024 and see what's in store for my shop next year. I appreciate all of you, and I'll just say some more about that at the end of the year, how much I appreciate you guys. But I say it a lot anyway. And now I'm rambling, so I'm going to go, and I will see you in the next video. Have a creative day. Bye-bye.